Welcome, everyone. I have the honor of serving with Erica and Janis as the co-leads for the Women's Caucus. And when I look at those slides over the last year, I am just astounded that we accomplished so much in our first year as a caucus. So I think the phrase we've been using is glitter to everybody, and a big round of applause because we stepped out and we did it right. I do some of the slides that came up last. I just want to take a moment and speak to the slides about the ACCT conference. The National Trustee Conference was held just earlier in this month, and Erica and Linda Waugh and Daisy Gonzalez, co-founders of our organization, started us off with a description for attendees about how we got started and what we have accomplished. And first of all, kudos and thank you, Martha Garcia, for stepping up and saving the day with technology. But I think I was surprised that when someone said from New York, a trustee from New York said, "Oh, I want to start a women's caucus." And I guess my assumption was, well, why wouldn't every state in the United States have a women's caucus? So we're going to do a little digging around and see if other community colleges have an association like ours. But again, kudos to Linda and Daisy for being visionary and pulling us all together and getting us going on this pathway. Erica, any things to add at this point?
Just to echo your appreciation for everyone being here. It's so, I don't know, it's very exciting to see women come together and talk about issues that relate to us both inside and outside our system, and to just have so many people consistently interested in what we're doing. And we just have a great team as an executive committee of the Women's Caucus, but we also have a great group of women who have been with us through a lot of these, if not all of these events. And I just hope that some of you are thinking about, okay, well, when an opportunity to be on the executive committee and to be in a leadership role comes up, I would really like to step up because this is important work and I want to be part of the team. So just, just a little, put that in the back of your head because we're always looking and we'll be doing elections in the coming year.
All right, are we ready for the first slide?
Before we go there, Nan, I'd like to take this opportunity to also thank all of the members of the Planning Committee and Programming Committee, which include a number of people here: Barbara Dunshee, Alex Davis. Let me pull up my list so I don't neglect anybody because they all participated and were great. Tammy Silver and Kathleen Burke on working with this program, and thank you all for your efforts in putting this program together, which would not be possible without you. So with that said, Nan, I do think we're ready for this.
Okay. The slides have the presenter's name on them, but I'm thinking that I really like seeing all of you. I don't know how many Zoom meetings you've been to when we've seen a PowerPoint presentation and no people. So once we get it going, if we can feature the speakers as a group and then come back together as a whole at the end, that would be wonderful. Thank you.
So is this the time, Maria, that Barbara starts the programming session?
Okay. All right. Well, first of all, welcome everyone. It's great to have you all here. I see there's 73 people on the call, so woohoo, good for us. We have an excellent group of speakers here, and it's my privilege to introduce them. And I want to extend a very warm, heartfelt thank you for their willingness to come speak to us today. First up, we have Elizabeth Neely. And Elizabeth is an environmental science major at Santiago Canyon College, along with being the student trustee. She's here in the year as also Associated Student Government President, so she wears multiple hats. Neely is a driven, determined, and courageous to stand up to the needs for her fellow classmates. She's a member of the Phi Theta Kappa Honor Society, and there she isn't afraid to use her voice and stance for the desire of students. She also has 3 goals. She would like to, first off, accomplish creating a safe college environment in a COVID-19 world, not an easy task, passing and implementing a tobacco-free and smoke-free requirement. And the 3rd goal is implementing environmentally greener practices. Some of her other accomplishments include being a student representative in the Honors Committee, overcoming Graves' disease, giving a TED Talk to 17-year-olds, and being part of the National Color Guard team at the Rose Parade. She loves hiking, traveling, observing animals in their natural habitat, and her life's work is all about sustainability and helping with climate change. While maintaining full-time status, Neely also interned at the Irvine Ranch Outdoor Education Center, and she works as a personal trainer in the LA Fitness. And she is now preparing to compete in the National American Miss California project. So a warm welcome to Elizabeth. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It's nice
Yes,
to be here.
we are very honored. So thank you. Our second panelist is Donna Zeal. Donna is a trustee with Cabrillo College. She's the incoming chair for the Board of Trustees. She was elected in 2010, and this is her 3rd term. Last year, she initiated the board's legislative advocacy subcommittee, and that group has now extended its reach to include drafting state and federal legislation and reviewing local issues that may impact Cabrillo and its students. Donna is retired from San Jose State University, where she worked for over 30 years. And during her career, she developed and managed the San Jose State University's Tri-County program and was associate director of its Monterey County campus. She's currently retired as an interim director of student outreach and recruitment. Donna has served almost 10 years on the board and the Women's Commission, and that has won her the Trailblazer Award in 2016. She's statewide president of California Women in Higher Education, as well as California Advocates for Reentry Education. And she currently serves on the boards of several local nonprofits and is a chartered docent at Monterey Bay Aquarium. Donna has a BA and MA in Asian and African history from San Jose State University, and she's traveled extensively. And she wanted us to all know that she was a member of the Fourth World Conference in Beijing in 1995. I teach women's history. I talk a lot about that conference, so it's really nice to know someone that went there. So welcome very much, Donna. A warm welcome and greeting to you. Our next panelist is Tamil Gilkerson. Tamil is currently the president of Evergreen Valley College. Tamil is one of 7 children, and she is the first and only member of her family to graduate from college. Dr. Gilkerson has spent most of her career at the California Community College system, and before she was at Evergreen, she was the president of Laney College in Oakland. She began her community college career as a faculty member in psychology counseling at Chabot College, where she served as a coordinator for the TRIO student service program. And then, as I said, she worked at Laney, she's worked at Contra Costa in a variety of different leadership jobs. She's a leader in a number of statewide efforts to find solutions for students' basic needs, I should say, undocumented and mixed status students. And she really works to improve the quality and delivery of distance education. I have the honor to serve with her on DTAC committee, so appreciate that. She holds a, let's see, get this right. She has a bachelor's degree in history, a master's degree in counseling with an emphasis in marriage and family therapy and pupil personnel services, and a doctorate in organizational leadership with an emphasis in higher education. So thank you, Tamil. So glad to have you here. And then to round out our panel, we have Diana Rodriguez. Diana is the newly appointed chancellor at San Bernardino Community College District, appointed in June. She served as the Inland Empire with a distinction as president of San Bernardino Valley College. She's been there since 2016. Previously, Dr. Rodriguez, Diana worked with the K-12 schools, community partners to start student-focused programs such as Generation Go, an internship program, and the Valley 360 Resource Center Food Pantry, the Workforce Readiness Program, and the annual SBVC Day of Service. And during her tenure as president, San Bernardino Valley College faculty and staff spearheaded educational strategies to earn the campus the highest level of accreditation among the best in California. And Diana Rodriguez is poised to become the only Latina chancellor of a community college district in Southern California. So welcome. She graduated from Palos Verdes College, earned 3 degrees from California State University, San Bernardino in marketing, and a master's degree in business and administration, and another's master's in education. And she's a doctoral candidate in higher education leadership at North Central University. So we have very distinguished panelists. Welcome. Thank you all for joining us. So we just have some kind of general questions. Our main focus today is kind of 2 things. It's looking at the equal pay resolution. And I did put a link to it in the chat if you're not familiar with it. But the kind of template is there. And so we kind of want to talk about some colleges that have adopted it and the process and kind of the nuts and bolts of that. But we also want to talk about mentoring, because we know that mentoring is very critical, particularly for women. I found a statistic that said that women mentors, if women have a mentor, they tend to earn more over their lifetime, and they're more likely to be up for promotions and things like that. So mentorship is a really big topic. I also looked on the Academic Senate website, and they have a whole program for mentorship with again, really good ideas about how to bring a mentoring program. So we want to ask our panelists a little bit about those 2 main topics. So I'm not going to call on anybody specifically, but I'm going to, ask a question, and whoever wants to pop in is more than welcome. If nobody pops in, I might call on you. So I'm that teacher. So, you're going to be called on if everybody's quiet. So the first question is, could you speak to the importance of equal pay and mentorship from your lens, and what this means for you in your role in the community college system?
Before I get called on, I guess I'll jump in if the rest don't mind.
Go right ahead.
Or at my campus or district, we call it voluntold.
Yes.
So we'll just, I'll jump in. Mentorship, I was excited to see this topic because that's why I'm in the position that I am now as chancellor of the San Bernardino Community College District. Some might say that I'm a rarity, right? A Latina leading a community college system, one of only 2 chancellors being Latina in the state. And that's directly because of mentors that I've had, and as the number of women in leadership grows, groups like this one will make sure that they are earning the same money as their male counterparts, right? But to help organizations like this one, we have to do our own, right? We have to do our part in insisting for equal pay for the roles that we have. And sometimes that's not easy. And sometimes we rely on our mentors to help us find the words, right, to advocate for ourselves. When I was younger, there were people who wrapped their arms around me and made sure that I would succeed. And one of them, I was excited to see in your slides, was Judith Baez, right? She was one of those people for me. She coached me on how to effectively use my voice for social justice issues, such as equal pay. She taught me so much, and a lot of it echoing, the good advice that she received from her professors and instructors at San Bernardino Valley College. That advice propelled her to be, as you noted, the chief executive officer at Golden West, She also worked at LA Mission and the mayor, first Latina mayor of a major metropolitan city, such as San Bernardino. And what she told me, and it still resonates with me, is, she says, mija. If you know her, you'll know that's how she starts each sentence, right? Mija. You have to dare to compete, right? And I took that advice. And that's the same advice that I share with our 20,000 students on a regular basis. Dare to compete, dare to be the best at what you're doing. And I also share that with the women we employ in our district. And I take that extremely seriously. I think everyone in the San Bernardino in our region has my cell phone number because I give it out generously, especially to our students and to our employees, and especially the women that we hire within our district. And I tell them, right, there are no good excuses for not succeeding. There are none. And to call me, to use that number, or to text me, because I can text with the best 13-year-old out there. And so, with that, I'll wrap it up. I think it's important that we advocate for ourselves. I think it's important that we teach younger administrators or younger women. And when I say younger, I mean in their careers, on how to advocate for themselves and to be that mentor.
Thank you, Diana. Beautifully said.
Beautiful. Well, I'll jump in next. Of course, I totally agree with everything that was just said. I'm a trustee, and so I have a little bit different, lens. I've advocated for equal pay for decades, and I'll get into my personal story about that in a minute. But in terms of equal pay for equal work, when we looked at the resolution as a board at Cabrillo, and actually it started in our legislative advocacy committee where we looked it over first before recommending it to the board. There was a question about, well, everybody gets paid the same depending on their education and their rank and step and all of that. And we said, no, we need to really take another look at our classification system for our classified personnel. And we did that. I advocated very strongly for that, and it was an expensive proposition. If anybody knows about doing classification and compensation studies, it's expensive to do, but it hadn't been done for a very long time. And in my own personal career, if there hadn't been the ability to reclassify positions, I would not have had the professional trajectory that I had. I advocated strongly for it. The comp class study is complete, and we're making changes at Cabrillo and taking into account many of the changes that have happened in those classified positions, the kind of work that is done, the technology that's required now, and that had not been looked at for a very long time. So I'm proud of the work that we've done, and it's going to make a difference in the lives of a lot of our very valuable employees. In my own background, I had mentors. Thank goodness I had mentors. A lot of women and a few men who encouraged me, showed me the way, sort of dragged me along sometimes, kicked me from the rear and said, you can do this, you can do more. One of whom was my advocate for a reclassification of my position. And as a union shop steward, I took advantage of some of what I learned in my process to train other women on our campus who were in clerical positions, but actually working out of class. So this goes back a long ways in my career, and I would not have had the opportunities had I not had the mentors that I did. I'm eternally grateful to them. I believe it's my obligation, and I take it very happily to mentor other trustees who are new and try to help guide them a bit. I had a little bit of help when I started as a trustee, but I've heard so many people say that they don't receive an orientation. They just sort of walk in and are expected to know how things go, how things operate, what the rules are. So I'm trying hard to help with mentoring new trustees, especially student trustees, because our student trustee tends to change every year, and it's a whole new world. And they're wonderful. They're full of energy and they're full of great ideas. So I'm happy to work with them. And then I have to remind myself where to draw the line, because although there are incredible employees on campus who I can see have the potential to move up and become leaders, I can't step over the line. I take that information to my president and advocate for them, but I can't go any further than that. So that's my lens. That's what I'm taking in. Thank you very much.
That's so
Thank you.
That's so
Go
helpful.
ahead, Tamia.
I'm going to jump in. So good afternoon, everyone. It's really good to be in this space with you all. I think for me, we're an educational institution. It is absolutely right, our obligation to make sure that we are telling the truth about what's happening and the pay gap for women, right? Across sectors, across every institution. It's happening in education. It's happening for barbers and cosmetology and service workers and everything, right? What we're seeing is that women are making 83% of what men, particularly white men, are making, and that there continues to be a gap when you disaggregate by race and ethnicity for women of color, right? And so I think part of it for me is I feel really passionate about this, and passionate about equal pay, not only because we should be paid for the same work, frankly, but because as educational institutions and leaders and employees in these institutions, and when we have more women coming to our colleges for education and trusting us with that kind of thing, we absolutely need to be telling truth, talking about what it is. So it's sort of a built-in mentorship when we actually expose and help allow people to begin to critically think for themselves what that means. And I think that's just mentorship on its own, right? That's our kind of general responsibility. So I think what that means for my role in the community college system is absolutely that we should be having these conversations and talking about this upfront and taking leadership on how are we thinking about this in our classrooms? How are we thinking about this in our career services? What information are we giving, to students as they figure out and negotiate that this is a real thing? And I know Donna said she's going to talk about her experience, and I have firsthand experience, right? So I can talk a little bit about some of these things. I mean, we're sort of built into a particular system, and I'll get to that later, but I want to make sure Elizabeth can talk. But I think ultimately for me, that's really the call to action for me as a leader in the system, and being a woman of color who works and wants to be certainly recognized for, I think, a lot of work that we do.
All right, well, I appreciate that she opened the door for me to speak. But I'm really, all I can do for this specific question is respond to the other panelists, because as the student trustee, as somebody that is a student and interacts with students, we don't talk about the pay gap. And we don't talk about the pay gap because of the amazing work that the generation before us has done. Because like Donna said, she's been advocating this for decades. You are all doing amazing work and it's translating. And so the students are not as much focused on the pay gap because we see that things are being done. Yes, women still don't make as much as men. That is heard, that is known. This is a conversation I have with people quite often who then push back and say, well, give me the proof. Or I have men that kind of approach this topic as well. Feminism has taken such a big turn. Let's talk about menimism. And so, I mean, this isn't something that I can really speak on a whole lot. I don't have a lot of experience with the pay gap, but I can talk more on mentorship as it comes up later.
Great, thank you. Great insight. So the next question is, have you been engaged in the advocacy for equal pay and mentorship? Or if not, how might you become engaged with stakeholders within and outside of your district?
I'm happy to start again if yeah, of course, my experience in visiting lawmakers in Sacramento has shown me that, to be effective, right, we need to have the authentic stories of what's going on in our institutions, right? Hard evidence and a vision for that change when we meet with our electeds. I've shared with our elected leaders the challenging stories of our students, right? Many of them had to leave school to take care of their families during the pandemic. Many of them lost their jobs, right? And many of them, and I would venture to guess most of them, are women, right? Our community college system is a lifeline for these students. We train nurses, accountants, EMTs, and so on, electricians, welders, architects, and many of them are women in these fields, non-traditional fields for women that we are exposing them to, right? And when we get them ready to transfer to four-year schools and then get them their teaching credentials, we're providing them with the opportunity to rise in their chosen professions. Right? We have strong partnerships with our local companies to retrain their workers in customized ways, right? Taking them right to their job sites and their headquarters. So far, right, we've produced more than 6,000 training programs, classes, right? That's the story. And that's the appeals that we make to our lawmakers, right? And I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge the leadership of some of the fierce, and I'm going to say that again, some of the fierce women in Sacramento, Senator Connie Leyva, Senator Rosario Ochoa Bogue, Assembly Member Majority Leader Eloise Reyes, just to name a few, right? They've helped sponsor legislation and advocating for funding programs that strengthen our community college system and strengthen the success of our students in these programs, right? We can help our state rebound from the pandemic and balance the inequities for women, and not only just for women, but for people of color, right? If we engage with our lawmakers and tell our stories on what we need from them, and of course, our Board of Trustees, approved a resolution in support of the Equal Pay California campaign, led by, First Partner Jennifer Sable Newsom and the California Commission on the Status of Women and Girls, and extremely proud of our board for doing that. We are analyzing historic pay gaps, adjusting our policies to eliminate inequities in all facets of our district, right? We're looking for biased language in our job descriptions and so on. It's a long road, right? But I'm personally committed to the fight, for a just society, so that women coming up that are struggling, right? Or that need a voice, right? I want to help them find that voice, and I want them to be successful in our systems.
I think the fight for equal pay, I just want to sort of talk about this I keep coming back to a systems lens, and I really appreciate, Diana, what you said, my sister, about sort of, the advocacy and the work that's going on. So I've been doing statewide work for a number of years with an organization called Rework the Bay, which is really looking at equitable solutions to advancing sort of how we can actually make sure that employees in our state can have pay, say in what they're doing, right? Equitable access to jobs and affordable access, right? And accessible support systems. Because part of what we have to think about, it's not just the pay alone, it's the trajectory for how women get to the roles the equality in the being able to get access to those roles, right? And everything along sort of the pathway. And we're a part of all of that, right? So we have a broken system right now that doesn't work well between, you know, work-based learning partnerships, those opportunities for women, particularly women of color, like to get access to those opportunities. There are not enough of those in our system, right? And a system that actually allows us to work with these entities to make sure that we can create those pathways so that women can get in and actually have the job skills supposedly that they need. And we know also, right, that this also is still an issue in getting equal pay, right? That they look at differentiate the experience of a man in comparison to an experience of a woman. And I have firsthand experience with this. So I just want to say again, just the issue of getting access. So I've been doing a lot of work for many, many years around access, particularly for women and people of color, around having access to opportunities to get the training and skills to get their foot in the door even and be looked at. That's our jobs, right? In California community colleges, that's what we're doing. So we've got to fix the system in California and how we do that, the funding mechanism for it, and that actually equity and pay should be a part of that process, one. And then two, we absolutely need to get rid of, and for those of you who certainly, you know, we have steps and columns and all of that's usually how, so I think Donna, you know, the point that you made, right, about even when we're looking at it, steps and columns, people come in at a particular area, right? They get, their pay gets looked at based on their experience. I think it's important that we do audits of making sure if we see any barriers that are happening in that auditing of how we do step placements for folks in our system. But I'll say at the executive level where people are negotiating their salaries, I've had firsthand experience of having more qualifications than a male. Let me be clear, more qualifications sitting in the seat as a female in the role and actually getting paid less than somebody who got approved at a board of trustees meeting the meeting before. So when I bring this up, the comment became, and I said, this is sort of illegal to do this. The comment became, well, you made less where you were before. And I'm saying, really? So the fact that I worked in a district that didn't pay as well shouldn't actually, and it's against the law, shouldn't actually become an issue. And I hope this is a safe space. I know this is being recorded, but I just want to offer, but this is a real lived experience, right? First time in my life that I've ever said, like, I think I deserve to be paid. Like, I actually think I know what I'm doing now, right? Too. Like, and I've always been so shy about it, right? Like, this is the step, this is what you're doing. And I'm like, I hear all these people who are negotiating all these things. Girlfriend, it's about time you actually did it for yourself. And the response I got was, you got paid less where you were. Be happy that you're making X amount of money more. And I'm like, respectfully, that's illegal, one. And then it became a part of, oh, then there's a parity and equity with counterparts, right? When you're in a multi-college district about how that is. So I'm just saying this is a lived, true experience that's happening at the executive level when you're trying to negotiate your actual salary. And so what happens is you're having to do these backroom sort of deals where like, okay, and so what happens is then and I can think of this in 3 different instances, so it's not particular a thing, where then what I had to do was say, okay, and they're saying, we'll move you up a step faster than the year, right? By evaluating you. So not only did I not get it at the front end when I probably should have, but then I had to prove my worth over 6 months or 4 months or whatever to get a pay increase, right? To get to the place where a male counterpart was, who again, didn't necessarily have, or other people. So I just, you know, I mean, let's speak the truth if we're going to talk about it. Like, it's absolutely happening for us. I will say that I don't really feel like I've had a lot of mentorship about this part. So I'm so glad that we're talking about it, because I really didn't know. And I was like, oh my God, like, yeah, be happy that you're even getting a job, right? Bullshit. Anyways, okay, I'll be nice. Okay, goodbye. That's the end of my thing. So we have work to do, I think, in our work in the system, in the systems we create and how we work, and then in our own institutions. Super passionate.
Thank you so much for sharing. And, you know, I think it's when people speak up that they find that they are not alone. And I bet you your story resonates with more than one person on this call. and it makes us all kind of, open our eyes. So I really appreciate that. All right. Donna, did you want to, Donna, you had mentioned you have this legislative advocacy committee. Do you want to talk a little bit about how that works? And maybe you kind of hinted that you'd work some with the equal pay resolution, but is there any other overlaps you want to highlight?
Well, I actually had talked everyone into starting this a year ago because we didn't really have a process for responding to requests for endorsements of legislation that was pending, mostly in the state. And, one of the things that came through was the resolution on equal pay. And we talked about it quite a bit. And it took some work for us to finally say, yeah, this is really what we want to say. And the board endorsed it, 100%. We have since found a number of other interesting things that we want to support and work on. So we did quite a bit during last year's legislative session, sending letters of support and a couple in opposition, as a matter of fact, as well. And then we have a couple of things that we've just started working on. Well, we started last year working on an amendment to a federal statute that would allow the expansion of CalFresh. Actually, it's called what is it called? The free restaurant hot meal program under CalFresh.
Restaurant meals program, Donna.
Thank you. Adam is the one. Adam's here. I didn't see you, Adam. Adam Spickler is a member of our committee, and he is the hotshot behind this particular resolution that will amend a federal statute that would, and a House member, Congressman Jimmy Panetta's office is carrying this. It would allow our community college students who are approved for CalFresh to have their free hot meal on the college campus. And Adam can speak up and clarify that if I didn't quite hit it right. But from my perspective, it's a no-brainer. But the key to making it successful is that our community college cafeterias sign up to be purveyors of these free hot meals. Adam, did you want to add something to that?
Thanks, Donna. That was really great. I would say the thing that I'm excited about is what this proposed legislation would do would amend current SNAP regulations. Right now, if you're a senior, homeless, or disabled and a CalFresh recipient, you can get a hot meal through a participating restaurant. This would add full-time students. And what's happening simultaneously right now, for those of you not aware, state law was just signed by Governor Newsom, decreasing some of the extraordinary burdens we place on students to qualify, to both qualify for CalFresh and re-enroll in CalFresh. It would loosen some of those and make it easier for more students to qualify. So more students on CalFresh. And then if this federal legislation passes, it will provide them the ability to get a hot meal with their CalFresh. And if all of our campuses across the state have participating cafeterias, it's like a win-win-win for everybody. Cafeterias will make more money through this. I'll stop there.
Thanks, Adam.
Thank you. Thank you. I want to ask Elizabeth a couple of questions. You did mention that you didn't feel you had much to say about advocacy, but I'd really like to hear your perspective about mentorship. Do you have a mentor? If not, would you like one? What are some qualities you'd like to see in a mentor? Some qualities or mentorship programs that you think your fellow students that work or that might work?
So I have never been mentored. I have never had anybody really reach out to be a mentor to me. Something that Donna said earlier really resonated with onboarding. I was not onboarded as the student trustee. The student trustee before me didn't tell me how to do my job. He just left. And so there was no help at all that I had coming into my job. To be honest, I've had a lot of success in my job because of my mom. She has worked in business for longer than I've been alive. And she is the one who has taught me how to read a budget, who has sat with me and taught me how to read, healthcare contracts, which is what I look at all the time for my board. And so I can now read those documents and know what they say and then be able to interpret them from a student perspective. She's been the one to kind of teach me how to be a trustee without actually being a trustee herself. But there is a mentorship that happens at my colleges that I represent. I do represent 2 colleges. Santiago Canyon College in Orange, California, they have a mentorship program through the honors program, and in that space, honors alumni or people that have been in the honors program for quite a while take on new members of the honors program to kind of teach them and help them out with honors coursework as they first get into the field. And then we also have transfer mentors. So students that are transferring 1 year will mentor students that are just coming into the college. So they help out a lot. As a trustee, I was told by one of my advisors when I first came into the field that I should get a trustee from the board to be my mentor. And I chose the only other woman on the board to be my mentor, but she is new to the board as well. She was just elected, I think, a year or 2 ago. And so she doesn't really reach out to me. We don't meet a lot. If I have questions here and there, I'll ask her. But when it comes to actually getting work done, I ask questions. I have conversations. And I will be speaking tomorrow night at a family night. And that's my advice to students, incoming students, is have conversations, because having meaningful conversations can get you into doors that you didn't even know were possible. And that's how I am here. And that's something that stunned me when I was talking to Tammy. When she approached me in San Diego, she said, I wanted you because you gave me eye contact, because you were communicating well with me. And I was very touched by that. But I think mentors are really important. However, not having a mentor and being in the spot that I'm at, because you gave me a great bio at the beginning. However, some things have changed. I am the vice chair of the Student Trustee Advisory Committee for the Association of Community College Trustees for the nation.
Wow,
And
congratulations.
Thank you. That's a new job. But being in that role, I encounter people all the time who they don't have mentors either. And so we've gotten where we are with our own hard work and dedication. And yes, I do agree. I believe somebody said earlier that mentors can get you into a job, or they can get you being paid more into a higher role. I do agree with that completely. I've been told more times than not, it's not what you know, it's who you know. So I do believe that mentors can help you get you into the door, but I do believe that a lot of it comes from hard work on your own end and being knowledgeable in the work that you do.
Thank you so much. And I think for every trustee who's on this call, we all need to make a mental note that we need to help our student trustees to be more comfortable as a board member. And sometimes it's a little hard because they change more frequently even than the elected members, but we really need that voice there. They're very important to our board presence and things. Just a quick follow-up, Elizabeth, did you attend the student trustee workshop that CCLC put on? Did you go to that one? It was in August.
Yes, I have attended every student trustee anything since I
Okay.
got into the role.
All right, because I know at North Orange we tend to say we'll go there and you'll kind of learn everything and we think it's taken care of, and I don't know if that's the right way or not, but that doesn't happen till August, and I know our trustees transition in June. I think it's either June or July, so they've already had a couple of meetings before they even get to that. So I think that's a real teachable moment for all of us to make sure that we take that extra step with our student trustees.
Thank you. So Barbara, this is Nan. I'm going to move us along now, but I want to thank this panel so much. Heartfelt and passionate information and lessons learned for us. I know I'm going to take away a special commitment to get together with our student trustee and be of support wherever I can. It's 3:22. So we do have a business meeting. It's going to be a very, very short business meeting though. So if I could get Anne to give us a quick, how many members we have and any other message?
Happy to do it. Thank you. Good afternoon. In this, our second year, we have over 300 members in good standing, with many more awaiting renewal. It is indeed time for everyone to renew for the new academic year. Emails were sent to all institutional and associate members about renewing membership. Have you noticed we're very good at getting out emails? You probably even got one today about the meeting, and it also included a renewal reminder because we multitask, right? If you're not getting our emails, they may have gone to your junk folder. Maybe you have a bad email address for you. Please check your spam folder. If it's not there, email us at women@cccwomenscaucus.org. We'll be happy to help you. If you're part of a college or district membership, we ask you please remind your CEO that the notification they received does require attention at this time. But we are very glad you're here. You help us make a difference. You may help us be one of the largest caucuses in the league. We hope you found the caucus worthy of your time, and that you'll want to invite others to join you in membership. As student trustee Neely just said, meaningful conversations mean everything. And this is a place where meaningful conversations can be held. There is strength in numbers. Please encourage everyone you know to be a part of the caucus that supports outstanding women like the ones we heard from today. Thank you for supporting us, and may the shiniest of glitter rain down upon you all throughout the upcoming holidays and all year long.
Well, I was looking to see if Sally Biggins was able to join us. She is literally in transit. So I'm just going to go ahead and in 2 lines give you our financial report. The only expenditures that we had was a cost for audio visual so that we could actually have a computer and a microphone at the ACCT conference. And then, of course, in the past, we've taken care of our guest speaker for last year, Lily Ledbetter. So bottom line is we have $16,304.31. Looking forward.
Looking good.
Looking good. And looking forward to our next meeting. This was the biggest session, highest participation rate that I've seen of any of the sessions that I've been in for the last couple of days.
That's right.
I think it speaks to the need for us to get together and to continue on with the great programming that we have. Erica, closing word?
I just want to thank everyone for being here. And I want to say to all of my CEO colleagues, you should be paying for your college folks who want to join this caucus. So if one of your staff members reaches out, staff, administrator, or faculty, and says, I really want to join this caucus, please open up your whatever you use to hold the money of the college and pay for it. Because what that is, that's, you know, the old adage of your budget is an expression of what you value as an institution. And especially the women on this call, it's really important if we're going to demonstrate our allyship and our support of the women in our system, that starts with paying the $25 for membership. So please do that. And thank you so much for coming. It's so gratifying to see so much support for this women's caucus. And we really appreciate you being here. And all those districts pass that equal pay resolution. Pass it, pass it, pass it, pass it. We have 10 colleges. We want to have everybody get going.
Good words to end on. See you at the next caucus.
Yes, thank you.